My best friend. He had this habit of always talking about his girlfriend as if she were some rare jewel. Every time we hung out, he described her with perfect words: sweet, faithful, caring, almost unreal. I smiled, nodded, but deep down, I didn't pay much attention. One night, he asked me for a simple favor: to drive her home. I didn't hesitate. After all, it was just a short detour. On the way, the silence felt heavy. Then she started talking. Not small talk. No, strange sentences loaded with meaning. She said, "You're too handsome to be single. You know, if I hadn't met him, I would have chosen you." I laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. But her eyes weren't joking. When we arrived at her place, I thought she would get out. But she insisted, "Come in, just a quick drink." I hesitated, but her eyes seemed to swallow me whole. And then everything shifted. Before I could even realize, she pushed me against the wall, her lips on mine, her burning body pressed against me. I had never felt such intensity. It was wild, feverish, irreversible. She whispered between breaths, no one has ever touched me like you." And me, despite my conscience, despite the betrayal, I gave in. And I already knew nothing would ever be the same again. The next day, I couldn't even look my friend in the eye. He talked about his plans with her, their upcoming vacation, and I just nodded, pretending. But inside, it burned. I thought it would be a one-time mistake, something to bury and forget. But I was wrong. That very night, she texted me. At first, just a simple message: "Are you awake?" Then more insistent, more explicit. She said she couldn't stop thinking about me, about how I touched her, about the passion she was missing with him. I tried to ignore her. I really did. But the more I resisted, the harder she came at me. And every word she wrote felt like a temptation I couldn't shake. Eventually, I replied. Just a short, harmless line. Within minutes, she was asking to see me again. I refused, at least that night. But the next day, I found myself standing in front of her building again. She opened the door with that dangerous smile, and I couldn't say no. Each meeting became more intense, more reckless. And every time I left her place, I swore it was the last time. But her claws were already sunk too deep. And without realizing it, I was digging my own grave. She no longer wanted just secret meetings. She wanted more, always more. She began calling me at work, sending compromising pictures, writing things I wouldn't dare repeat. One night, she said, "I'm going to leave him. I can't take it anymore. I want to be with you." My heart clenched. I may have desired her, but I never wanted that. I felt trapped. If she left him, he'd eventually find out the truth. And if I pushed her away, she had already threatened to tell him everything. I was living in a nightmare. By day, I laughed and joked with my best friend, pretending nothing was wrong. While behind his back, I was sleeping with the woman he loved. And the worst part? I was starting to feel something for her. A toxic mix of passion, hate, and dependence. Every time she said, "I'm waiting for you," I came. Like a puppet, controlled by her desires. But she was growing impatient. She wanted us to go public. She wanted me to take her hand, to claim her. Me. I hesitated, because I knew once the truth came out, my entire world would collapse. What I didn't know yet was that she never intended to stay discreet. One evening, my buddy invited me to dinner at his place. I went, heavy-hearted, sweating it every second. She was there, smiling, gentle, playing her role as the perfect girlfriend. Every time our eyes met, it felt like she was burning me alive. While my friend went to get a bottle from the kitchen, she slid her hand under the table onto my thigh. I nearly jumped. I begged her with my eyes to stop, but she just smiled. When he came back, she got up to kiss him, and in that moment, I understood just how dangerous she was. She loved this game, this double life, this tension that was slowly destroying me. After dinner, I begged her to stop. I told her I didn't want it anymore, that it had gone too far. She stared right into my eyes and whispered, "If you walk away, I'll tell him everything." I froze. She had my fate in her hands, and she knew it. From that moment, I wasn't a lover anymore. I was a prisoner of her threats, her body, her poison. And slowly, I started to hate this woman as much as I once desired her. I lived in constant fear. Every vibration of my phone made me flinch. Every message from her sounded like another threat. I told her I couldn't, that I didn't want to betray my friend any further. But she replied, "Too late, you already did." and I won't let you go." She was right. I couldn't let her go. Her scent, her voice, the way her eyes devoured me, it was a drug. And yet, I hated her, because she held me by the throat. She wanted us to go public. She said she would tell him, that I had to face it. I told her it would destroy him. She shrugged. "Then he'll be destroyed, but we'll be free." I could see she had no limits. She loved destruction. She loved seeing me tremble. And me? I started thinking, if she wanted to play, then I had to change the rules. I couldn't just endure this anymore. I had to take back control. And in a dark corner of my mind, a terrible idea began to take shape. I started watching closely. Every word she spoke, every gesture, every weakness. I knew if I wanted freedom, I had to strike hard and smart. So I got closer to my best friend. I became the perfect buddy again. Always there, always loyal, always trustworthy. He had no doubt about me. His trust was blind. And the more I earned his trust, the more I prepared my plan. With her, I still played the submissive lover. I kept responding to her advances, giving in sometimes, just enough so she wouldn't suspect anything. But deep down, I was setting her up. I saved everything. Messages, photos she sent me, proof, every bit of proof I needed. She had no clue. She thought I was still under her spell. She thought I trembled at every threat. But me, I was patiently building the rope she'd hang herself with. And as time went on, I savored the thought of her downfall. One night, when we were alone at her place, she repeated once again, "I'm leaving him, and you'll have to own it." I smiled, a calm smile that unsettled her for a second. "Do as you want," I answered. She squinted. She could sense something had shifted, but she didn't push. She still believed she held all the cards. The next day, I launched the first step. I sat down with my friend. I told him he needed to open his eyes, that he had to see for himself. But I didn't reveal anything. Not yet. I convinced him to install a small camera in his apartment, under the excuse of security. He agreed without question. After all, I was like his brother. The trap was set. Now, I just had to wait. And the fall was going to be spectacular. A few days later, the opportunity came. She texted, "Come over. He's not home." I went. This time, I knew exactly what I was doing. I let her devour me, push me onto the couch, drag me into that endless spiral. But what she didn't know was that the camera I had convinced my buddy to install captured everything. Every kiss, every moan, every undeniable proof of our betrayal. I played the part perfectly. I whispered her name, responded to her every touch. But inside, I was smiling. Because I knew, right then and there, her fate was sealed. That evening, I went to my friend. He had already received the footage. He looked at me with a mix of shock and rage. I didn't deny it. I didn't beg. I simply told him, "You needed to know who she really is." His face froze. His world was collapsing. And her, she still had no idea. But soon, she would learn what it means to lose everything she thought she controlled. My friend didn't shout. He didn't cry. He stayed silent. But in his eyes, I saw cold rage. A rage ready to explode. I handed him all the proof. The messages, the pictures, the videos. Every piece of her duplicity. He didn't say a word. He just nodded. I knew he was planning his own revenge. Meanwhile, she kept texting me, still believing I was her toy. "When are we telling him? You're mine, you understand?" I replied vaguely, just enough so she wouldn't suspect what was coming. And then, the explosion happened. One night, he invited her to dinner. Like nothing had happened. A romantic dinner, candles, wine. She thought he knew nothing. She thought she still held the game. But when he turned on the TV, the screen showed the recordings. Her and me, in positions no man should ever see his girlfriend in. Her face went pale. She tried to speak, to deny, but he said nothing. He just looked at her, as if she were already dead. And that's when her punishment truly began. He didn't leave her right away. No, he chose a more cruel method. He kept living with her, smiling, pretending. But each day, he stripped away a little more of her dignity. He started belittling her, subtly reminding her of what she had done. He stopped letting her go out, watched her every move. She thought she was free. Now she was his prisoner. Me, I kept my distance. I had done my part. I had delivered the truth. And I watched from afar as she sank deeper into her personal hell. Her messages began to change, from passion to fear. He looks at me like I'm already dead. I'm scared of him, but I no longer answered. I had already condemned her. And him. He was preparing something even worse. Because what he wanted wasn't just to leave her. It was to destroy her. And he would succeed. One morning, he vanished. No calls. No texts. She called me, panicking. I think he left. I think he's gone. But when she came home that night, she found a sight she'd never forget. The apartment was empty. No furniture, no clothes, nothing. On the table, a single envelope. Inside the videos. All of them. With a note. This is your real face. Let everyone see it. He had sent the recordings to her parents, her colleagues, her friends. Everyone now knew. She tried calling me again. Crying, begging. But I didn't pick up. I let her sink. And him. He was already gone, free from her poison. She had nothing left. No love, no reputation, no future. And it was exactly what she deserved. Weeks passed. I saw her once, by chance. She was just a shadow of herself. Dark circles, weight lost, eyes red from crying. She begged me. Why did you do this to me? Why? I looked at her coldly, and I told her the only truth that mattered. Because you tried to play with both of us, and you lost. She broke down in tears in the middle of the street. But me, I didn't flinch. I left her there, shattered under the weight of her own lies. My friend, he rebuilt his life somewhere else. He moved on. And me, I kept the scars of this story. The shame of betrayal, but also the satisfaction of justice. Because in the end, she wanted to destroy everything. She thought she could manipulate, control, dominate. But she was the one who ended up crushed, humiliated, destroyed. And sometimes, when I think back to her face that night, in front of the TV, I still feel that shiver of vengeance run through me. Yes, she wanted to play with fire, but she forgot one essential thing. It's always the fire that ends up burning.